Household easy, we close fast and anytime that works for you. Your house don't need it, we'll throw cash, it hits so fast, don't know what to do. Wanted to care to keep it.
Before we jump into the actual steps, I want to talk just for a couple minutes about an asset and a liability, what they are, why, Dave, why does it matter if we know what an asset and a liability is? What is an asset and what is a liability though? This is very, very important. Most people don't even know the difference between these two things. And if you don't know the difference, I'm gonna explain it to you, but another good resource would be to go read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's who I learned this from. And he's taught millions of people what an asset is and what a liability is. So let's break it down, right? It's very simple. An asset is something that's gonna put money into your pocket, all right? They essentially create cash flow. Whereas a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. It's very, very important. Does the money flow into you or does the money flow out? If you buy something and it's not paying you to own it, it is not an asset. All right? So I have 90 plus assets right now. That means I have 90 individual things that I own that pay me every single month. The goal is to own assets. That's how the wealthy get wealthy and avoid paying taxes. All right? So what is the cash flow? Again, cash flow is what you get. It's what's left over whenever you buy an asset and that asset starts to pay you. So cash flow is what's left over after you pay all of the bills, guys. Not some, not half, not the majority, all. All right, so here's a perfect example. You have a property that you buy and it rents out for $1,500 a month. The expenses to own that property are gonna be a mortgage payment, you're gonna have taxes, you're gonna have insurance, you're gonna have property management, you're gonna have maintenance and vacancy, you're gonna have CapEx, and you're gonna have miscellaneous stuff that you're gonna have to spend. The total income on this example is $1,500 a month. If my expenses, and you can add up what I have here on the slide, are only $1,150 or $1,150, that means that I have money left over, and that's what we like to refer to as cash flow. That cash flow in this scenario is $350. The cool thing is the way the government taxes cash flow is way less than the way that they tax your earned income. So cash flow is how the IRS, they actually define it as passive income. And it's not really fair. This is something that I'm not really a huge fan of. I don't necessarily agree with this. However, I'm gonna play the game the way the game is supposed to be played, meaning I'm gonna take advantage of these tax laws. So that $350 worth of income, I'm gonna be taxed at a very low percentage of that $350 a month in regards or in comparison to somebody that, let's say, works a job at Target or Walmart or anywhere that has a W-2 and they're trading their time for money. When you do that, that's earned income, and the government taxes you way higher than they do on your passive income. Again, not necessarily a fair thing, but it is true. It's the law, so learn it and take advantage of it, guys. Play the game the way the game's supposed to be played, and you can create tremendous amounts of wealth. All right, so that's what cash flow is. So BRRRR method mastery, why would you want to use the BRRRR method? All right, my goal is to teach as much of this to you as I can because I've essentially mastered it. I'm still learning new things every single day, but essentially I have 10,000 hours at this, right? So why? Well, number one, passive income. All right, I make money while I sleep. Do you? If you don't, you can. So don't think that this is gonna be something that's very difficult. It's really not. It's actually pretty simple. Why else? Well, you can quit your job. You can replace your income using this strategy, buying assets, and you can quit your job. Who doesn't wanna quit their job? Freedom. That's what you get when you quit your job. You get time freedom, and even more importantly than that, guys, you get financial freedom, which allows you to have time freedom, all right? Next, tax advantages. When you own real estate, you get amazing, massive tax advantages. In fact, last year, it's crazy, I think I maybe paid the government about $12,000 in taxes on my income, my earned income, which was multiple six figures, because I was able to offset all that income with the tax advantages that you get in real estate, which we refer to as the depreciation. All right? Next is you can create wealth. And if you are listening, you don't pay tax on wealth creation. You only pay tax on income. So the goal here is not to necessarily increase your income, even though that's a byproduct, right? The goal is to create your wealth, or to increase your wealth, because you get to keep more of it. You don't have to pay the government a big chunk of your wealth when you create it. You only have to pay them a chunk of your income. So it seems crazy, but when I wake up every day, I'm not thinking, how can David Dodge go make more money? Because that means I have to go pay more taxes. What I do when I wake up every day is I say, hey, how can I create more wealth and keep all of it? And that should be your goal too. Banks love to lend on real estate. Walk into a bank right now and say, hey, I want to start a company. Can I get a $50,000 loan? And they're going to probably laugh at you. The only way to easily get money from a bank is to borrow it for education or to borrow it to buy real estate, period. So again, play the game the way the game is supposed to be played. Banks love lending money to me on real estate because if I don't pay them, they can come take the real estate from me. So why wouldn't they love that? And then a couple other things, leverage, guys. I mean, that goes along with the banks, but you can use leverage in multiple ways to do this method. I use leverage to buy, I use leverage to fix, and I use leverage to refinance. So leverage is very, very, very important here. All right, and it's super easy. It's really not that complicated. Okay, guys, when do you want to use the BRRRR method? Well, here's the thing. The sooner you start, the sooner you can be financially free. The sooner you can quit that job. So let me ask you guys all a couple questions here just real quick. Do you like working at the job that you're at? Some of you may say yes, and that's great. Are you willing to do that until you're 65, though? How many more years is that for you? For some of you watching, that may only be a couple. For some of you that are, in their 20s or 30s like me, that seems like an eternity. Having to work 35 more years to get to be able to not work anymore. I can stop working tomorrow. And then how many years have you already wasted? That's really what I want you to think about for a second here. And I want this to really hit home. I want this to kind of weigh heavy. Not because I want to be negative, but because I want you guys to see that this is the way out. It was my way out. It can be the way out for you too. It's not hard. All right, let's jump in. I'm excited. Why rentals? We talked a little bit about this. Cash flow, good debt. You can use leverage. These things typically appreciate. And in fact, from 1968 to 2004, 36-year period right there, right? We saw a 6.5% on average year-over-year appreciation. I never bank and put all my eggs in the appreciation basket. Actually, in fact, I don't even calculate it into any of my equations. It's icing on the cake, but historically speaking, you're gonna get it. Tax benefits, we talked a little bit about this. We'll dive into this as well. Tremendous tax benefits. Guys, I barely even pay taxes, and I do it legally. It's amazing. Wealth creation, you've heard me say this multiple times. We aren't taxed on wealth. We are only taxed on income. So that, my friends, is why you want to buy rentals and use the BRRRR method. There's really not very many cons. There are a ton of pros.
Household easy, we close fast and anytime that works for you. Your house don't need it, we'll throw cash, it hits so fast, don't know what to do. Wanted her care to keep